Hey y'all, it's Dr. Know-It-All. So I released a video this morning. I'll put the link to that at the end of this video because it's actually a really good one. I get into numbers. I compare EV cars versus gas cars and whether you should even think about purchasing a gas car anymore. But as always seems to happen, Elon Musk has something to say. I'm going to read this off of my Twitter feed on my iPad here. Replying to Holmar's blog, who asked about the timing of the next full self-driving beta release, Elon said, next release 10.12, not 11, which is interesting. I was really pretty much counting on it being numbered number 11, and I'll talk about that more in just a second. Anyway, that's another step towards all neural networks using surround video and reconciling output to a unified vector space for control code, improves complex intersections in heavy traffic, many upgrades to core code, so taking longer to debug issues, probably Wednesday, Thursday release. So, probably Wednesday, Thursday release. That is, it's Friday today, so I'm assuming he means 5 or 6 days from now, and that will be probably when it starts to roll out. So there will be, some people will get it early, some people will get it late. Hopefully I'll get it early. I will be super interested to see what the release notes on this one are because it has been quite a long time since 10.11, which was the last new major release note thing. So anyway, that's the easy part. Lots of stuff that's new, lots of upgrades, lots of stuff to debug. They have to be careful about that, right? So obviously they're taking their time working on that. That's the easy part of this tweet. The other parts are a little more, complicated. I'll talk about the output first. He says, improves complex intersections in heavy traffic. Complex intersections, if you imagine fairly close to my house is 6, 7 lanes of traffic. It's not a highway, but there's 3 lanes, a suicide lane in the middle, and then 3 lanes on the other side. And actually, sometimes there's even another lane that exits into other areas. So anyway, it's a whole bunch of stuff that's going on. And if you have an intersection in that area on top of it, and you're trying to make a left turn or move into a different lane, really, really complicated stuff. So anyway, the output is that this is supposed to improve that. I expect there will be many, many, many other improvements as well. So getting to the first paragraph, next release is another step towards all neural networks using surround video and reconciling output to a unified vector space for control code. So this is interesting. I've actually talked about this previously in other videos, and that is that the ultimate, holy grail, North Star, whatever you want to say, that Tesla is trying to get to, their AI program is trying to get to taking a bag of points, just a whole bunch of pixels of whatever, this pixel here is kind of a light blue color, that pixel up there is a yellow color, this is kind of a tan color, over here is black, So all these different pixels on individual frames from 8 different cameras. And what they're working on is reconciling all of that stuff, right? So we've talked about this before, and I'll again probably put a link to that at the end of this video as well. But we've first, what they do is they reconcile all of this into a surround video. So it's 360 degrees. This is not easy because every single camera has a slightly different view of the scene, and they also have warping and stuff, right? So it's not like a perfect rectangle. Things get shrunk and messed around at the edges because of fisheye lensing and things. So you have to sort of stretch them all, stitch them all back together again. Very, very complicated. And then you have to do that as a video. So that's even more complicated. And then what the ultimate goal here is to take that video and use that over time and project out pixels to create a pseudo LiDAR type of environment, but it's actually better than pseudo LiDAR because it's also semantically segmented. So it's put into little boxes. So you say this over here is a car, this over here is a person, this over here is a curb, this is a lane line, that's a traffic light, et cetera, et cetera. So there's all these things that are going on all over the place. And that is, intensely, intensely difficult. I guess I was a little mistaken because I actually thought that these neural networks were more embedded than I guess they might be. So Elon is saying this is another step. So the idea is that there's going to be this one stack to rule them all, which is going to be a neural network architecture that will work for parking lots, for city streets, and for highways. Version 11 is supposedly going to be that. Currently, what we've got is it's working on city streets only. The parking lot part doesn't work. In fact, I just don't even use it in parking lots. It's just not that good at this point. And then on the highway, it's using the old stack, which I, again, For me personally, the old stack on the highways works great. It's not the smartest thing in the world about getting out of the traffic way when you've got intersections coming in and out and getting out of the way for traffic that's around, but it's a pretty stable architecture. So I can understand why they haven't really messed with that too much. Again, I have heard that they've been working on testing that out, that new architecture, since I think it was August of 2021. So we're approaching, we're not at a year, but we're getting onward towards a year. So probably a lot of that early stuff was kind of alpha build sort of thing. So there wasn't that much. But anyway, what's going on here is they're stepping stone towards that. So again, I thought that they were actually more completely towards all of this stuff on the city street part of it being part of one neural network architecture where it's already doing this thing. It's already turning the world into vectors, into a vector space. But it sounds like they're not as far along with that as I had thought they had been. And so, again, what he's saying is using surround video, right? So you've got the 360 video and reconciling the output. So that's taking each frame of video or each video sequence and reconciling that so it's matching it from bag of points from just pixels to a three-dimensional world and a world of vector space objects. It's matching those two things together. It's creating a unified vector space for control code. So the old stack, there's a picture that Andre Karpathy put up. Gosh, it's probably close to 2 years ago now, but it had sort of version 1 of the software, which is a lot of C code, a lot of C++ code, a lot of human intervention saying, if this, then that, if this, then that, a lot of hard coding, which they determined just was not an effective way to go about solving full self-driving. Ultimately, it's the easy thing to do at the beginning, but you run up against a ceiling and you just can't get past that. So what they've worked through instead is scrapping that whole thing, going back to the beginning, creating this surround 360 video. So again, the complexity here is you're going from a single image to 8 images. You've got to match all those things up. You've got to figure out where a piece of a truck is from both of those views, match those up, piece of road, etc. And then you've got to take that video and project it from a 2-dimensional pixel space into a 3-dimensional vector space where all of these things, again, it's sort of like a video game. I always liken it to that. Once you get to the video game stage, the rest of it is pretty straightforward. If you know where every single car and every single person and every single object in this world is for real, and you have a really, really good sense of accuracy about that, the rest of it is pretty straightforward. Then you just control the car to deal with those different environments and work through that thing, right? So anyway, that's the whole reason why he's saying it improves the complex intersections and heavy traffic. It improves very complex and difficult situations. My guess from what he's saying here is, and again, this is from the outside, I don't know exactly, but from what I can kind of sense about this, is that they had these neural network architecture things built, but they were not robust enough to handle these really, really complex scenes with lots and lots of actors in it and lots of agents, let's say. So that would be cars, that would be human beings, that would be animals, that would be still objects, things like lights and things like that, and lane lines and all of that stuff. So it was probably struggling to handle that complexity, and so they were cheating by using some older code in those things. So my guess is what we're going to see in the release notes is that it's handling this all in a kind of unified neural network architecture now, as opposed to, and scrapping a whole bunch of this old C and C++ code. So that would be my guess. It's really exciting news. Of course, the bad news is it's still another week almost before the release is gonna come out, which is like, but anyway, it sounds fantastic. It sounds like when this release does come out, it won't quite be version 11, but maybe what it's going to be is version 11 for city streets. And then the rest of it for the highway and the parking lot, they'll tack on later. But anyway, it's very exciting news. Thank you, Elon, for, expressing this stuff. It's great when we ask questions, or at least some of us ask questions, and we get actual answers. It's fantastic news. And I, for one, am super excited. In the meantime, it's been a really busy week, and I'm going to see Dr. Strange this evening. So everybody have a lovely Friday and a lovely weekend. I will see you all soon. Bye-bye.